Welcome to another great episode of The Bourbon Road with your hosts, Jim and Brian, where they talk bourbon and, of course, drink bourbon. Grab yourself a pour, kick back, and enjoy another trip down the Bourbon Road.
Very excited to have Blanton'sBourbonShop.com as a new sponsor for the Bourbon Road podcast. In fact, this podcast is brought to you by Blanton's Bourbon Shop. Blanton'sBourbonShop.com is the only official merchandiser for Blanton's, the original single barrel. Looking for a unique gift? Blanton's Bourbon Shop has got you covered. Blanton'sBourbonShop.com is your home for all Blanton's gifts. The Bourbon Road is excited to have pintsandbarrels.com as a sponsor of this episode, as well as our official custom apparel provider. Be sure to check out pintsandbarrels.com and browse their ultimate online store for bourbon lovers. All right, listeners, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Road podcast. I'm your host, Jim Shannon, and Today we're at the Rare Eagle Bar. Their good friend Rob Carter, longtime roadie, friend of the show, probably holds the record for the number of appearances on the Bourbon Road. What is it now, Rob?
I forgot about that. Maybe 6.
Maybe 6 now. Mm. It's always fun to have you on. We always have a great time, and it's extra special to be at your Rare Eagle Bar. It's quite the place.
Thank you.
When it comes to patriotism, you've got it in spades here. You got quite the flag collection. Have you added any new flags since the last time we were down here?
No, nothing of value.
Have you added any new eagles to your collection? Because I know two of the biggest things you collect down here are American flags and eagles, and some of your American flags are quite collectible. Mm-hmm. Others are just there for decoration.
Right.
But you've also got a ton of American eagles.
I do. Yeah, they're just kind of stuck everywhere. And I haven't really gone out and pursued a whole lot lately. But if you recall, and I was thinking you were with me maybe, Jim, at the Bourbon on the Banks.
Yeah.
And if you recall, our good friend Doug Keller, the freaking artist.
He is a freaking artist, isn't he?
What is going on in his brain, and how do you do that? Yeah, I mean, Doug gifted me with a hand-painted eagle.
Wow.
And as you've noticed, it's front and center on my bar, right in the middle of the bar. I just left it there. I want to do something with it, but yeah, I'm so astonished to have, a hand painted piece like that. You can really see those, multiple strokes involved that, you're thinking, how do you just keep making paint strokes and they add up to an eagle? It's crazy. So,
he's got some crazy good skills, and he's doing some paintings for Melody and I too, and it's just amazing. How his eye is so good. Of course, his brush is good, but his eye is good too. He really notices the details and things that he's trying to paint. So
one of my more special pieces. So I hope to have he and his wife down here one day soon.
Well, I certainly hope that they frequent the area down here. We'd love to see them again for sure.
Yeah.
So today on the show, we're going to drink through, I've brought a couple of whiskeys that we want to do a review on. And in the second half, you've brought a couple of whiskeys that you want us to taste through while we have various discussions.
Sure.
And, but today we've got, in the first half, we've got, both the bourbon and the rye whiskey from Still Austin. And these are their standard issue bourbon and rye. The bourbon is a 98.4 proof bourbon, and the rye is also a 98.4. Now, we're going to drink the bourbon first, and it's called The Musician.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I think if I remember correctly, Rob, it was, and I think you were telling me that it's a 70% corn, 25% rye, 5% malted barley.
Correct.
It's a Texas whiskey, obviously out of Austin, Texas. And they've got quite an operation down there. And, they produce everything that they sell, and they use all local Texas grain. So they're kind of grain to glass as well.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's check it out. Cheers.
Oh, absolutely. Cheers.
Wow. That's got a nice corn sweetness to it.
Yeah, it really does.
One thing about Texas whiskeys, when you say 2 years, it's almost like saying 4 years anywhere else, right? Because whiskeys age so rapidly down there.
With the heat.
Now, this is a minimum of 2 years, so this could be anywhere between 2 and 4, I would say. But
yeah.
But it's got a nice dark color to it.
It does. Not, quite different than you would think of, whatever, 2 year or so. And the flavor is way more than you would expect in a lesser cost bottle. So I was pleasantly impressed.
Yeah, you get a nice deep caramel off of it. It's got a little bit of just a hint of a burnt marshmallow flavor to it. It's honey and tea kind of. I don't want to try and pick too many notes out of it. It is my first bourbon of the day, and I've got just a little bit of bitterness on the back end, but definitely surprising for a 2-year-old. This is a $30 bourbon.
Yeah, nice.
So I think I picked this up at Total Wine for $30. Certainly a fair price for a whiskey like this. Still Austin is a craft distillery, and they don't produce quite the quantity you might see out of the big boys, but they aren't a small producer. They do produce a decent amount of whiskey, so you can find it. You can find them all over the place, and particularly here in Kentucky, you can find them at Total Wine. That's for sure. We did have them on the Bourbon Roadie bar at Bourbon on the Banks, and I will say that it was a very popular pour.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely has more flavor than you would expect, and I do like that. Surprising.
And Texas whiskeys kind of have their own little profile too. They've got this little nod to some extra work that the oak gets to do in those hot and cold swings on a daily basis, and you get a little bit more of that that deep nutty caramel.
Definitely good.
Well, when I was whiskey shopping this year, I noticed something. We were going to have a show on Christmas gift sets. We're going to review Christmas gift sets and talk about, in advance of Christmas, we wanted to have a show on Christmas gift sets. So what's available? What are the prices? What are the good deals out there? And to my surprise, there weren't hardly any gift sets out at Total Wine and at, there were some, but not like last year.
Interesting.
It kind of raised the question with me. Why in the world would gift sets be down this year? Why wouldn't we have, stacks and stacks of them? Like last year, I think, you saw them at the store?
I did.
It was a big deal. Yeah. This year, they were kind of not to be seen too much at Total Wine, and there were a few more at the Liquor Barn, but just not quite what we saw last year. And I don't know. I just feel like maybe Scrooge has got a hold of Christmas gift sets or something.
Makes you wonder. I don't know. I did look into at the distillery a week or so ago. They had Weller available that day, and just so happened they had a Weller gift set.
Oh, they did?
So Weller, a bottle of Weller with 2 rocks glasses.
Wow.
So I was able to purchase both. You could get both and not count against your allocation or whatever.
Because it was a seasonal thing.
Seasonal.
Well, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And I was able to buy that. And as I mentioned before, I'm sort of losing I'll just say my wallet in this whole bourbon thing, because my wife confiscated that for a Habitat for Humanity gift that they'll be raffling off at their upcoming bourbon event. So I lost that one.
Oh, well, I think you're in good shape here when it comes to bourbon.
Good point.
Because, when you come to the Rare Eagle Bar, you have a great display of whiskeys. I don't know, you probably got a couple of 200 or 300 whiskeys on display.
I'm afraid at least.
But little do you know that in the treasure chest against that wall is full, and the little cabinet over here is full, and you've got bottles hidden all over this basement.
I do.
If somebody raids your bourbon bar, you can restock in a day.
Yeah, exactly. As long as my wife doesn't find out. Yeah, I'm kind of keep that on the down low.
So let's talk about your visits to Buffalo Trace. We don't live far from there.
True.
We're just 20, 25 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
And you work in Lawrenceburg.
I do. Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for you to get over there.
It is very easy. And I could give out my local secret if anybody think I should throw that out, the secret to going to Buffalo Trace.
Well, that's entirely up to you. I don't normally do it, so you're not going to bother me, but it's not going to ruin your game, is it?
Nah, I don't. I'm all about everybody having fun.
There you go.
I learned, and this may not be, monumental, but I learned a few years back that all these out-of-towners are coming in on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. And, you're going to have 3 loops and a 2-hour wait. So I just don't even go on those days. And if you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, wait till about 10 to 11 o'clock, you walk in, walk out.
So you go on Mondays, Tuesdays, or Wednesdays. You show up at the distillery at 10 o'clock.
10 to 11 range. And
10 to 11.
And I'm in, purchase, out, and gone in 10 minutes.
And when they take a picture of your license or whatever, what are they saying to you? You can't buy another one for how long?
90 days.
90 days.
Mm-hmm. And they're quite particular.
Yeah.
They are. I've been in there 89th day. And I didn't realize my timing. It was, my own fault. I wasn't trying to pull one on anybody, but sure enough, I couldn't buy.
So, but there are other things you can get that aren't allocated.
Sure. Yeah. Typically, a Buffalo Trace will be available, and some of their vodkas and gifts and specialty items and so forth. And then again, if they have a gift set, by chance, then that's free game.
Yeah. So do you think things are becoming a little more available now?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I'm seeing it a little bit more time to time, although some of the little spots that used to occasionally get some things, there used to be Walgreens, CVS, and various drug stores of that nature would periodically, at least seasonally, would get a Blanton's and a EH and a Weller, Eagle Rare, and they've been shut out for almost a year.
Yeah,
almost nothing has been distributed there.
Well, I saw something interesting on the news. I guess it's probably been about a week or a week and a half ago, and there was a news story on Brown and Forman. And they were talking about how the stock had plummeted on Brown and Forman, and that they were down 16% this year, which surprised me because we all know, or at least most of us know, at least those that are watching their investments and their 401ks, that they're doing pretty darn good right now. The market's up. In fact, it had 2 record-setting days during this month already. Exactly. And so in general, the market as a whole is up. When I heard that report, it really got me to thinking, like, what? Brown and Forman's down? I wonder if it's just Brown and Forman or if there's something going on here. So I started researching the big players in the game. And I looked at Diageo and Pernod Ricard, MGP. Now, I'd like to look at more. I'd like to look at Sazerac and Heaven Hill, but still some of these companies are privately held and you're not going to get their numbers, but at least the ones that are publicly traded, they're all significantly down. And it's been a declining chart since the beginning of this year. So since after COVID, we've had kind of a decline.
Yeah.
And it's kind of dramatic when you look at the year in review on the stock charts.
Yeah.
They really dove in the beginning of December.
Yeah, that's quite a number, 16%.
16%. I mean, that's devastating for a company.
If you'd have told me 5%, I would have been shocked. So,
well, it dropped 10% in one day. It was down 16% for the year, but that was just Brown & Forman. But there were similar dips in the others. And I'm not trying to draw any conclusions here. I mean, there's no sense in doing that because nobody can predict what's going on in the market. But the facts are the facts.
I think I know what's going on. Some people out there not trying hard enough. By golly.
That could be it. I did look at like Constellation Brands, companies that are also in the spirits space and the alcoholic drink space, but aren't as invested in bourbon. And they're kind of holding steady a little bit more. So now that doesn't mean anything. You know, I'm not going to try and draw conclusions there either. But when I looked at the big four, you know, Brown, Forman, Diageo, Pernod Ricard, and MGP, definitely all of those guys have like similar charts for this year. So
interesting,
something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. I don't understand.
Well, I certainly invite our listeners who are stock market savvy to have a look and see if they can debunk what I've said here, but it looked pretty convincing to me.
Yeah. And, you know, back through time, I guess, Depression era and some of our times, you know, when the economy wasn't good or one thing or another wasn't good, war times, different things, it seemed like people turned to alcohol, even though they didn't have the money for it often. I mean, it was still, you know, still a thing that they vacillated to, I guess you'd say. And so I don't know, is the economy too good and they're playing pickleball or something? I don't know.
See, I don't think people are drinking less. I think they're maybe drinking less of that, you know, so
could be.
I've always heard the same thing, Rob. I always heard that, you know, the spirits industry is kind of recession proof, right?
Exactly.
People are going to drink something. Just what are they choosing to drink at the moment?
Exactly.
I think beer's doing great. You know, obviously, you know, with Constellation Brands still rocketing along, they have, what do they have? Modelo and some other brands. So they're doing pretty good. I think Modelo's now the number one beer in the United States.
I heard that. Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Took over a little while back and climbing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I didn't look at, like some of the other beer brands and wine. I would invite some roadies to take a moment, especially those of you who are a little bit more into the stock market. And check it out for me. Post in the Bourbon Roadies what you find. See if you're seeing similar trends or not. I don't want to be the prognosticator of doom, right? I mean, but when you see something like that, when you see like no gift sets at Christmas, or you hear something on the television about one particular distillery, and then you search at the others and you see similar reports, you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. One you might see poor management or, you know, downfall in, you know, their production or
right.
a lot of things, but when it's across the board. Now, I wonder if there's any chance that, you know, there was such a great marketing effort and the cocktails were marketed to younger people and, you know, and some of the even, you know, you could take a Kentucky Mule, you know, bourbon, ginger beer, you know, anybody can drink that. And a lot of the cocktails were catered to women and younger people. I wonder if it rose so quickly that this is just a slight correction.
It could be a slight correction. Yeah. And another thing is it's not always sales. Sometimes it's based on projected value, right?
Yeah.
So, but when the reports come back and say, like when you get excited about something, you'll pay more for it, right? It's just the way it is. And when you hear, you know, you can't find Pappy and you can't find this, and everybody's talking about bourbon and the stores are running out of everything, you're like, I'm going to buy some daggone whiskey stocks. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good thing to invest in.
One would think.
And you know, that's because you think there's a future in it. And then if you hear some reports that sales are down or they're not as expected, you might lose that excitement.
Exactly.
And maybe sell your stock, which causes the prices to go down. So anyway, there's a lot of listeners out there, I'm sure, that are a lot more in tune with market happenings than I am. So jump in there and let us know. Hop on the roadies and make a few posts. Let us know what you find.
You may have to get one of those text machines, Jim, where you can monitor during your show or something.
Yeah.
Go live. And
that would be something, wouldn't it?
Oh, man. You'd have to bring in some women for that to multitask. I couldn't do it.
All right. Well, I definitely enjoy this Still Austin bourbon. I think it's good. I think it's a little bit on the sweeter side. For me, I think it'd be a great cocktail whiskey. It's also decent for sipping too. They also have a special series. They call it their Bottle and Bond series. They have a red corn, a blue corn, a standard rye bourbon, and then they have the straight rye whiskey, all at Bottle and Bond.
Oh, nice.
So
I'm kind of surprised. I don't always understand, but why 98.5 on this and a
98.4
or 98.4, yeah, and a Bottle and Bond. I mean, we're so darn close. What is that? Two drips of water difference, or
2 drips of water in 2 years?
Oh,
right.
Counterpoint. I always forget that.
Yeah, same distilling season. Bonded warehouse. There's some other things there. Not that they affect the flavor a whole lot, but the age certainly does.
Yeah. But
the extra 1.6 on proof, probably not very noticeable, do you think?
I wouldn't think so. But this is really good. I'm starting to lean, if you put a pappy in front of me to sell me or this, I'm the guy that's I'm looking for the $30 to $50 sweet spot that's got a nice, unique flavor. Right. And to me, this hits the spot.
Well, I'm going to give my thumbs up to the Still Austin Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 2 years old, 70, 25, and 5. It's called The Musician. And about $30, maybe $32. I think the total wine price was low 30s. And we're going to drink another Still Austin whiskey now, and we're going to switch to the rye, though. And
this is sort of up our alley. You're in mine both.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of rye fans, aren't we?
I think so. Are we ready to?
We're ready to do it. So this is the Still Austin Straight Rye Whiskey. This also is at least 2 years old. This one's called The Artist. So the bourbon was called The Musician, and this one's called The Artist. They both have pretty young ladies on the front. The musician's holding a little, I don't know, kind of music instrument or something, or is that a branch on a tree? I can't tell. This is my eyes are so bad. But then the artist, the rye is the artist, and she's holding a paintbrush and a palette. So
nice. I'll raise this glass to Doug Keller, then, the artist.
Doug Keller. Cheers.
Hey, cheers.
So this is 100% rye. This is made with all Texas rye grain, which is interesting because we all know that rye loves to grow up north a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And Jim, I've asked you this multiple times probably, and I don't really retain a whole lot, so I'll probably ask you again one day. But some of these rye bourbons are, I don't know, it seemed like even some of the ones that say they're 100% rye or whatever are not all rye. Am I wrong in that? Or
you mean the rye bourbons or the rye whiskeys?
I don't know. Maybe there's a little caveat in there I'm missing, but I wanted to do I told you I like pairing things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I had the mellow corn, which was 100% corn.
Yep.
And I had something that was, what was it? There was 3 of them I had. They were 100%, 100%, and 100%, I thought. But I thought you corrected me and said my rye wasn't 100%, whichever one it was. And I don't know why I thought it was. But
well, ryes kind of follow bourbons in the rules a little bit. It has to be 51% rye, but it can certainly have other grain components in it. Like a Kentucky rye usually has a corn component in it to sort of sweeten up the rye a little bit. But sometimes the ryes, like a 95.5 rye, typical MGP rye, 95% rye, 5% malted barley.
Oh, okay.
I always get that little 5% malted in there to give it that enzyme kick that it needs to go through the fermentation process. This one in particular is 100% Texas rye, but that doesn't mean it's all straight, rye grain. It could be malted rye in there too.
Gotcha.
Or other things like that. We've had some malted rye before.
And that's actually one of my favorite
Some
flavors.
of my favorite things in the world are malted rye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of on a pursuit of that.
Yeah. Did you ever get to crack that bottle of Maysfield Club?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. It was really good.
That's good stuff.
Heck yeah.
For those who are wondering, that's Old Pogue makes a 100% rye whiskey called Maysfield Club. And it's malted rye, and it's just delightful.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Still Austin rye here. 100% rye.
Okay. Well, while you're sipping, I've already tasted it at least once, and that is really good. And I can't believe, this is what gets me is, you said this might be $40.
I think it's more like 35 to 37. It's like $5 more than the bourbon.
Unbelievable. Yeah. There's no reason. I won't go into it. This is good.
This is really good rye, isn't it?
It really is.
It is. Yeah, this is 100% rye. So there's no corn in that. Sweetness is all coming from the rye. But it's very floral. It's got a really nice spicy note to it.
I wish I could make up stuff, but I just don't know what to tell you. I'm tasting. It's just good.
You ever eat Indian food?
Seldom.
You're not a big Indian food. Have you ever been to an Indian restaurant?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever gone to check out and they got that little bowl of grain at the checkout counter and you can pick some up and eat it?
Oh, well, I didn't know that's what it was for. I put the pin back in it or something. I thought it was a placeholder.
It's just to cleanse your palate. It's just
I did not know that.
But this has a little bit of that. It's like a fennel or anise kind of flavor to it.
All right.
And
there's two words I've never heard, but I will say maybe I get a little bit of maybe a juniper. So is that in that flavor category?
So juniper is like a pine tree, right?
True. Yeah. I get cypress, juniper. I'm getting some kind of a
cedar.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is, but it's a lot of flavor. Along with that, regardless of what it is, it's a noticeable. It's not like drinking just a flat, nondescript or whatever, bourbon or rye. I know this is a rye.
So it's called a complex flavor, right?
Yeah.
It's got some complex. It does have some complex flavors to it. It's sweet. It's got. It does have that little bit of a scrumptious caramel note to it, but the aromatic spice comes out on it, and it really grabs you. And some of that is a little bit of. I call it conifer or juniper or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm
cedar.
I think you're on it. You're
evergreen.
Yeah, it's an evergreen. Kind of a refreshing little flavor to it.
And it's got a little bit of that fennel or anise or licorice. Kind of a licorice note to it.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Now I will say I get that one. All right. Yeah. You keep talking. I'll just thumbs up or thumbs down.
But it's not real hot on the back of the palate. Doesn't have a tremendous amount of like black pepper to it or anything like that, or even clove, right? I mean, it's just kind of light on the back of the palate, not too spicy back there.
But lingers. So
it does linger. So
it hangs on to you for a little bit. It's good.
So what's your favorite cocktail to make with rye whiskey?
Man, I don't do a whole lot of cocktails.
Do you use rye in your old fashioned sometimes?
I do, because I'm in my brain. I'm getting more flavor. That way. So I do. But I'll occasionally make an old fashioned. But I'm kind of, I don't know. Sometimes I just drink it neat most of the time. But I'll get crazy sometimes and create my own cranberry simple syrup this time of year, for instance.
Wow.
And then throw some some rye in there, and yeah, that's a good cocktail.
That sounds good, actually.
Heck yeah, I'll do it. We'll do
just
it.
rye and cranberry simple syrup, and that's it. Little bitters,
maybe orange bitters.
Orange bitters. Wow, that sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, we need to do that here
over
soon.
A big cube.
Big cube. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll do that for sure.
Yeah,
that sounds very Christmassy.
Homemade. Yeah, I made it myself, so I was pretty proud of myself.
Fantastic.
I'm a cook, Jim. I don't know if I told you that or not. I like to eat.
Yes, you do.
So I'm about 800 pounds instead of 500.
All right. Well, I mean, overall, I'm going to say Still Austin is a buy. If you're in a store and you're walking down the aisle and you see Still Austin up there, now they have other expressions of their whiskeys that are available on the shelf, but these two are kind of their core products. If you see them on the shelf, $30 to $35 range, snap them up. The rye in particular is like the star of the show today, I think.
It is, and I'm going to buy that one. And again, hoping my wife's not listening to this show, but the point being is, it's almost not fair, Jim. You and I love that flavor. We love rye. So I'm going to tell you the bourbon had a nice flavor, good, distinctive, and well beyond its $30 price tag. But for us, that rye is pretty amazing. It's
pretty good stuff.
And for the dollar, I'm just cheap.
Yeah.
I'm just cheap.
I'm getting that way too.
This stuff's getting out of hand.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. All right, Rob, well, let's keep sipping on our Still Austin Rye. We're going to take a short break, folks, and when we come back, Rob has a couple of grand whiskeys for us, and we're going to chit-chat about something other than depression in the whiskey industry. Stick around. Looking for a unique gift? Blanton's Bourbon Shop has got you covered. All of their handcrafted wood products are made in their in-house wood shop with authentic bourbon barrels. Specializing in barrel-aged potent treats, they use Blanton's barrels to age their own maple syrup, honey, and coffee. Find the most unique gift ideas for your golf lover, cigar connoisseur, avid coffee drinker, and Blanton's fan. Want to win an authentic Blanton's Barrelhead? Make sure you sign up for the giveaway on the homepage of their website. BlantonsBourbonShop.com is your home for all Blanton's gifts. If you're a bourbon drinker, and I bet you are if you're listening to this podcast, you need to head over to pintsandbarrels.com and check out the ultimate online store for bourbon lovers. Pints and Barrels Company was started by bourbon lovers for bourbon lovers. From spices to t-shirts, you'll find the perfect bourbon gift. Pints and Barrels proudly supports the Bourbon Road and invites you to visit pintsandbarrels.com. Do you need a custom apparel or swag for your bar, distillery, maybe even your bourbon society? They can do that too. As a matter of fact, they print our apparel. We're so happy with the quality and fast turnaround. PintsandBarrels.com, the ultimate bourbon lovers gift shop and branding specialist. All right, listeners, so we are back. It's been a great little break there, Rob and I. Yeah, we took a little longer than normal. We drank the rest of that Still Austin Rye. Fantastic.
Yep. A little longer. It's 3 days, wasn't it? I just woke up.
We hung out at the bar, at the Rare Eagle bar there. We looked through his bourbons here, and he had to pick out a couple whiskeys that he thought were appropriate for the second half.
Yeah, out of my nature, but here we go.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to drinking these. It's been a minute since I had them myself. What do we have for the second half, Rob?
Yeah, well, and I'll just say, I think now that I recall, I was somewhere and I'd never had a Tennessee whiskey, and I had one, and I thought, well, daggone, I've not been fair to these people. So we're looking at a Dickel 8-year small batch, and then the 15-year single barrel, George Dickel.
I'm looking forward to both of them now.
I know.
Yeah. So just to give a little background on Mr. Rob Carter here, he is profoundly loyal to the soil he lives on.
Big time.
And he's obviously an American patriot, but even closer to home is Shelbyville, Kentucky. That's his home turf. Very loyal to Shelbyville, very loyal to the businesses and products of Shelbyville, Kentucky.
Yep, a lot of good distilleries right here.
And if you can't find it in Shelbyville, then you're going to start looking in Shelby County. And if you can't find it in Shelby County, you're going to look in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And if you can't find it in Kentucky, all right, as long as we can get it in the US of A.
Exactly.
I mean, you're a pretty loyal guy.
I stop right there. Yep.
You stop right there.
I dip my toes in the water, but I'm not going.
You're not going to swim too far from shore, are you?
Nope. Not happening.
All right, so we're going to drink the first whiskey we're going to drink here is the Dickel 8-year. This is a small batch whiskey. What's the proof on it?
It is 90%.
And what do you know about
90 proof?
What do you know about Mr. George Dickel?
Not a daggone thing, really.
Yeah.
I know he, apparently, I mean, this does date way back, so that's a pretty cool thing. Back just post revolutionary.
Yeah, so I guess George Dickel himself, the man,
early 1800s.
Yeah, he had he was a merchant in Nashville back in like 40 years after the Declaration of Independence. But the actual distillery itself was formed from that. And I think it was like 1870, right after the Civil War, I think, the distillery was formed. So this is an old distillery, been around a lot of years. When it comes to Tennessee whiskeys, and we could talk about that a little bit, but there's two big boys, right? There's Jack Daniels and George Dickel.
Yeah.
These are the two major players that sort of started the ball game, I should say.
In Tennessee, for sure.
And what causes Tennessee whiskey to be different from bourbons? Now, first of all, let's just say that both George Dickel Tennessee whiskey and Jack Daniels Tennessee whiskey both qualify as bourbons, but they prefer to be named and called by Tennessee whiskey. And that's because they've undergone this very proprietary Tennessee process, which they call the Lincoln County process, which is a process by which once the white dog is made, once the mash is mashed and boiled off and you end up with a distillate, it's passed through maple coal charcoal and then placed in the barrels to age.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. And that does change the profile of the whiskey a little bit, does make it a little bit different. It doesn't disqualify it from being a bourbon, but they choose not to be called a bourbon.
Yeah. Interesting. And different spelling as well. So
they choose, Dickel is unique from Jack Daniels. Not Jack Daniels calls it whiskey with an E, right? EY. Dickel is WHISKY, just
Correct.
like the Scotches from Scotland.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think that's to show that they're trying to market. Originally, they were trying to market as a better version of Scotch whiskey, U.S. made.
Yeah, which we definitely can do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, cheers. Let's turn up our glass.
Yeah, absolutely. Smell this.
Man, I tell you, I can nail this stuff anywhere. You could put this to my nose in a dark room somewhere, and I would know it's Dickel.
That's crazy.
There's a couple of whiskeys in this world that are like that for me. One is Willet. I can tell Willet, eyes closed, hands tied behind my back.
Nice.
And Dickel's another one.
Well, it has a sweet little flavor to it that I kind of get a maple.
Yeah, it's
I don't
definitely.
know if you threw that in my brain. I can't get it out or what, but I get that. And there's like nothing. No burn. I mean, it's very smooth. I'll have to say that.
Have you ever taken a stone and scratched it against the concrete like to write your name on the concrete or something.
Yep.
You know that smell you get off of it?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever done it when it's wet?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'm inside with,
It's wet. You're inside.
wait till it quits raining.
That kind of mineral note, that mineral smell, that's what I get from Dickel. I get that wet stone, wet concrete kind of, and it's good. It's a good flavor. I like it. It's kind of, and a lot of people say it reminds them of like Flintstone vitamins a little bit, that minerally kind of flavor.
Yeah. I'm always looking for the legs and the viscosity, and this seemed kind of refreshing because it didn't have any burn or whatever. But I still see a little viscosity to it, but I wasn't expecting that. So
it's super smooth.
Yeah, it's really smooth. You probably need to recommend this to, someone who's not a big full blown bourbon drinker that looking for a burn or something wild. It's smooth.
I think some people are thrown off a little bit by because it does have like a little bit of a cherry note to it. Are you getting that at all?
A little fruit. I didn't.
A little fruit.
I couldn't tell what it was.
Cherry or something. But it reminds me of the red Flintstone vitamin. The kind of cherry or fruity flavor to it, but it's got that mineral note to it, and I don't know, it's very unique palate, and it's very enjoyable, very smooth.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I forgot. Now I kind of remember why I bought this, and I don't even think I've had it for 5 years or better, but I bought it anyway.
Yeah, that's why if I like I said, you could give me this blindfolded, hands tied behind my back, not expecting it, and I could name it, because there's not another whiskey on the planet that has this profile.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yep. I do like it, though. I like it a lot. So we're going to get to drink the 15-year here in a minute, and this is a single barrel, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
But I want to change the subject up here a little bit.
Uh-oh.
All right. So
I'm not so sure.
I've got a brighter subject than we talked about in the first half. So in the first half, we talked about kind of whiskey trends, right? Mm-hmm. Now I want to talk about pizza. Are you a pizza fan, Rob?
Oh, man. I am. I am. Yep. Big time. I like to get creative.
Do you?
But I've kind of changed course in my later years.
So you're actually talking about making pizza.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about the early Rob Carter pizza guy and then later years guy.
Yeah. Well, we kind of grew up poor. We didn't know it because we had all kinds of food growing up on the farm, but we didn't go out to eat. And Mom loved pizzas, so she made these Chef Boyardee pizzas, homemade from scratch, basically, and loved pizzas. And I think I was always told Mom had pizza the night I was born.
Yeah.
So consequently, always been a pizza fan.
So when you say Chef Boyardee, you mean cheese pizzas?
No, she trumped
put all
them
kinds
up.
of stuff on there.
She trumped them up. She liked mushrooms, onions, pepperonis, and that might have been about it back in the day. But so through time, I'm not as big on the like I like all kinds of crusts.
Yeah,
I've made them out of biscuits, out of tortillas, what is it, cauliflower. I do like cauliflower because in my brain it seems healthy or something. I don't know.
You've done pizza bread.
They've convinced me I've done all those, but the main thing is, I kind of grew up on a beef cattle farm, ate beef most meals for decades, and now all of a sudden my favorite pizza is total vegetarian.
Yeah.
I'll cover it solid white with onions first. Like you can't even see the sauce.
So we got
first layer is onions.
So you got thin crust dough?
thin crust,
sauce, white onions, so you can't see the sauce anymore.
The sauce.
Okay.
And then cover that with green and black olives.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite. And mushrooms.
Oh, and mushrooms.
That's it. That's my favorite pizza.
And you cook it off, and you like the crust crispy?
Yeah, a little crispy. I do.
Crispy.
I'm having some texture issues as I get old. If it's soggy, I don't know. I got to crisp it up.
I like to be able to pick up a piece, like a triangle piece of pizza, and it hold.
Be substantial,
Right?
Yeah.
When it droops on the end, or this is my pet peeve. When you grab a piece of pizza out of the pie and you pull it out and all the cheese stays behind.
Well, yeah.
Is that like the worst?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's the key to making sure that never happens?
Man, I don't know. Keep cutting, I guess.
You cut it. When you pull it out of the oven, it has to cool a minute on the rack before you cut it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
and then
for
you
a minute.
can put it in the box. We don't do boxes at home. So, but the minute you put it in the box, it's like a timer to death.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
I tell you what, whenever I order pizza, I'm very interested in arriving like right before they put it in the box. Right. And then when you get in the car, you open the box just a little bit. Like you can't leave the box shut. You have to open it up a little bit so the steam can get out. If you don't, what happens? You get back the floppiness pizza it's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to be careful. That's for sure. So yeah, I definitely am a pizza fan.
Well, I'm going to have to try do you use red onions or just sweet onions?
Mostly just white sweet onions, Vidalia, whatever.
Vidalias?
Yeah. But I'm not opposed to a good red one. Yeah.
And what about your mozzarella? Where do you get your mozzarella? Is it just like low moisture craft or?
Sometimes that low moisture stuff doesn't melt good. I don't know what the heck that stuff is. I'm afraid it's got a half-life of 36,000 years or something.
Cheese is a tough one. I mean, they've got some really good pizza cheese at Whole Foods.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the kind of the problem, at least from my perspective on cheeses. So if you buy the high quality mozzarella, like Belgioso or something, it's got so much water in it. When you heat it up, it basically waters down. Your pizza turns to water, so it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you have to have low moisture mozz, but you can't have something that is. I don't know. I don't want to call it plastic, but you can't have like straight Kroger cheese is not the best,
exactly.
Right?
No,
but
I struggle with that.
If you can get some good quality mozzarella that is lower moisture, and then the problem becomes. When you cook it, like there's a point at which the cheese melts and it starts to get a little bit of browning on the surface.
Yeah.
You got to pull it out.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't, then the oil separates from the cheese and you end up with like a sopping oil mess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man, pizza's not easy.
No. So having said this, here's my dilemma. If you can picture my pizza with a full layer of, and I'm not even talking about diced, kind of big. I mean, they're diced somewhat, but not, miniature diced or anything. So sometimes I will put my onions in the air fryer and kind of dry them out a little bit and then put them on my pizza. Otherwise,
that's actually a pretty darn good idea.
Otherwise, there's so much moisture content in onions that, that gets soggy again. Don't like that.
Yeah. So for me, like I love meat. All right. I mean, I love pork belly. I love andouille sausage. I love. I'm not a huge fan of Italian sausage. It's not my thing. Mm-hmm. I do like pepperonis, but I also like a little bit of steak, stuff like that. I love meat on my pizza, but if I don't have meat on my pizza, I would prefer it to just be like just cheese, tomato, bread.
Yeah.
Just what they call a tomato pie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can tell you, although I described my perfect pizza,
Yeah.
you can't hardly hurt my feelings with a pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, I will do meat lovers. I'll do nothing but cheese. Sometimes we do the let's see, what's the green sauce that
Pesto?
yeah, just pesto and cheese.
Yep.
On a cauliflower, I've done that. I mean,
So have you done so no sauce. You put the pizza dough and then the cheese, the mozzarella, and then you put the tomato on top. Have you ever done that before?
Nope, but I'm willing to try.
Yeah, so I've seen those, and that's kind of more of a cosmopolitan, Neapolitan.
Yeah.
What did I say? Cosmopolitan.
Yeah,
That's
wait a
horrible.
minute.
Neapolitan style pizza, right?
Yeah, or what's that?
Margarita pizza.
Whatever that is.
Sliced tomatoes, sliced basil.
Yeah. I do like those. Yeah,
A little bit of mozz on it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that they do in like in Chicago, deep dishes, the big deep dishes in Chicago, is they got like a pie pan and they put the crust in, then they put the cheese in, they put another crust in, and they put vent holes in the crust, then they put the sauce, and then they put the meat and the more cheese on top, and that's kind of a different situation altogether. I'm not a huge Chicago style pizza person.
Yeah, a lot of dough.
Just the deep dish is just not my thing. Yeah. Now, when I'm in Chicago, I have one.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to.
Well, it tastes fantastic. It just can get so filling,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so the major styles of pizza, I guess, would be like, and we're turning this into a pizza show, but that's all right. It's all right. Chicago deep dish style. Then Detroit. Like Detroit pizza, sort of square pan pizzas, right?
I'm sort of not familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's sort of the square cut.
Kind of like I had in grade school, you're thinking?
Yeah.
Hamburger and cheese on it, I don't know.
And then New York style, which is the traditional big pie slices.
Yeah.
I love New York style pizza. It's probably my favorite as long as it doesn't get too oily. Because when it gets oily and drips, I'm just not happy at all.
Me too. When you pick it up and you just got stuff dripping between your fingers, Well, if I could come full circle here with you, Jim, I think what I enjoy about the pizza and going through the steps and so forth is I start out the evening pouring a nice, neat pour of bourbon. And so it's a medicinal setting, where I'm sipping on a little bourbon, and no matter how long it takes, even though it's exorbitant sometimes, I just enjoy the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy the time. Sip on a little bourbon,
Well, folks, I'm going to tell you a little story here. I'm going to tell you about the crackers that we chose to eat here tonight. So it's kind of funny.
Food.
So Rob broke out the Cheez-Its, and I'm a Cheez-It nut. I'm like, I can literally sit down with a box of Cheez-Its and make it disappear, which is not very healthy.
Oh, yeah.
But you had some oyster crackers too. So we were good little boys. We decided to have the oyster crackers in the first half.
Yeah.
And then let ourselves have some Cheez-Its in the second half. So I'm sitting here munching on some Cheez-Its now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can annihilate a box of those in a heartbeat. It's crazy. They're just too good.
What do you say we move on to that 15-year Dickel?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Sounds good. It's a slightly less proof at, what did we decide? 84 and a half?
84.4. Yeah.
84.4. So, but the color was, starkly different.
Yeah. 15 years is a darn good age for some whiskey.
Well, so
is 8 year, by the way.
It is, and that's truly the only reason I bought them. I remember the 8 year. I don't even have a price for you, but it wasn't crazy. And then when I saw the 15, there's not too many 15-year-olds that I can afford in the bourbon world. And for instance, I can't afford a Pappy 15. but I thought it'd be cool to taste some bourbon that's been sitting in a barrel for warehouse for 15 years, and we'll see. I just opened it for us, Jim. First time.
Well, I did look up the prices. So the 8-year Dickel, which we had first, is right around $35. And the 15-year Dickel, which we're getting ready to taste now, is right at $60. So again, folks, we're presenting whiskeys that are very affordable to you here.
Yeah.
Things that are not only good, but don't impact the pocketbook too much.
Yeah. Rob Carter special. Thank you,
Carter
Jesus.
special.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I've already nosed this thing.
Wow. This has really got a great nose on it.
It does.
And it just, it's like this is, you can tell this is the same whiskey, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the same whiskey, but it's the same whiskey with like serious attitude.
Yeah.
That cherry medicinal kind of a little bit of a medicinal cherry note, a little bit of mineral note to it, but it's concentrated.
Mm-hmm. It's odd that whatever that, medicinal note is pleasing to some. I want to say it's probably not pleasing to some, but to you and I, it almost gets into that, that's what you get in a rye often.
Yeah.
And so it's a medicinal note that some people cherish, and it's really good to me.
Yeah, I think Dickel is a little bit polarizing. I think the people who like it really like it, and the people who don't, it's because that particular profile is just not in their wheelhouse. It's not what they want. This is a like chocolate covered cherry bomb, and it's still got that minerally note to it, but it's really good.
I didn't mention it, but in the sort of the aftertaste on that 8-year, after I kind of quit drinking, we were talking, and all of a sudden I was starting to realize I'm picking up a good bit of a deep chocolate, and I'm getting it even a little bit more heavily on this 15-year. So, so now the 15-year was a single barrel, correct?
It is a single barrel. So it could be, this particular single barrel could be a little bit different from another you might get. This one's wonderful, though.
Yeah, it is. So my pet peeve, while you got that poured up and can't correct me here, when somebody says, I like X bourbon, I like their single barrel. Well, how can you like their single barrel when every single barrel in theory is different?
Well, I mean, I've definitely experienced that for sure, where you have a single barrel. We've had a single barrel on the show before where I've said, this is friggin' amazing. This could be one of the best whiskeys of the year. Mm-hmm. And then a few weeks later, after hearing a listener say something about, I didn't like it, I tried a different one. I was like, oh, that one's not so great. They could be vastly different.
Well, exactly.
Or they can be not so different. Yeah. Right.
I can appreciate someone saying, I enjoy trying single barrel, but I don't understand the concept of saying I like their single barrel, because by virtue of single barrelness, they're all different. So I don't know. Call me crazy.
I think when you're as big as George Dickel and you've got a single barrel program that's feeding an expression like their 15-year, you are picking single barrels that all fall within a very narrow range, right? Because you got a lot of barrels to choose from.
I get it. And you got somebody that's tasting these things that knows way more about some chick. I get it. I know somebody with a, you know how it is. The ladies have the best.
Well, they do. And most
palate.
of the whiskey companies are finding out now that,
dang it,
they need to give the credit where credit is due. And ladies do have the better palates, right?
I know. I've applied for 87 taster jobs and got turned down. I think they're profiling me. They're age and sex discriminating me.
Well, I would think when a barrel hits 15 years at George Dickel, it has already gone through so many quality tests, so many tastes that the ones that are real big outliers have already been weeded out. They've already been moved out. They've already been added to small batch. They've been hidden in small batches because you're doing a 500 barrel small batch. You're not going to see a few barrels that are kind of really different, right?
Well, so now you just brought up something that I never even thought about. So that might be a topic for a show is, tell me what happens in the life cycle of a barrel. I mean, are all barrels being tasted over their life cycle of storage and those weeded out like that? I mean, you just made that statement and I never even thought about it.
Yeah, I think typically all barrels are being tasted at some point by somebody on the tasting panel.
Wow.
So that, nothing that's, not great doesn't make it through.
I got you. All right. So unless all your listeners are as smart as you, maybe some of them are dumb as me, that's a topic for a show, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I think it could be a topic for a show. And, one of the things that you mentioned was that ladies have a better palate, right? And Nicole Austin happens to be the
I know
general manager and distiller.
I know. We should meet her sometime.
Yeah, we should meet her sometime. Yeah, so
I know. We were talking about that before we started sipping there. And I hate it. Well, not that I don't really know any master distillers, honestly. Quite
well. You're familiar with Jimmy Russell.
Oh man, yeah, Jimmy. Oh man,
didn't you just meet him and talk to him again, for the 20th time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do have the good fortune of crossing paths with people over my decades here in Central Kentucky, and played ball with Eddie back in the day. But I see, Mr. Russell, Jimmy, quite often, and but he sees so many millions of people. I don't even presume that he remembers me, but I iterate the same, little statement every time I see him, and I know one of his buddies, one of his best friends of all time, and so I always mention that guy's name, and then I always get a sparkle in his eye. And most recently, I got to introduce that gentleman's son to him, and I saw that same sparkle in his eye. But I will say, I don't know if I told you this, Jim. I said, Mr. Russell, I got a treat for you. I always bring up this gentleman's name, and you talk to me about stories. Now I want to introduce you to this gentleman's son. And all of a sudden, Mr. Russell said, that name rings a bell, but I don't know if I know him. And for a second there, I thought, oh my God, he's lost his mind. Daggone it. He doesn't remember this guy anymore. And then all of a sudden, he just started giggling. He was punking us. 89-year-old Jimmy Russell was making fun of us, and then I just backed away, and he talked to his buddy's son, and Mr. Russell said, "Boy, I got some stories for you," and they just had a big time. And
that's awesome. That's so great.
I just backed away and listened. It was good stuff. Mr. Russell is so smart, and so, man, he's just been in the industry, knows everybody, seen everything, and man, what a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
What a great guy.
All right, so we're back to the Dickel 15 here. This is probably my favorite whiskey of the night. I'm going to say it is. Now, when you have a 15-year single barrel whiskey, that's probably among one of the better single barrels I think that Dickel's put out. I think we've got one here. This is barrel 391. Pretty darn good.
Yeah, so now I've gone through through this diatribe about people liking single barrels, and lo and behold, this is. I'm getting some deep chocolate notes. There's obviously some malt, good bit of malt in this. So if you like, all right, so like no aftertaste, real smooth, deep chocolate tones, just real pleasant. All right, so now it's my favorite, but it's a damn single barrel.
Right.
So what?
You just enjoy it for the moment.
I'm enjoy it for the moment.
You enjoy it for the moment.
And there may never be another one like it. But for me, this is actually the flavor that I'm looking for.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal pour. This is a really good pour.
I had no idea. Jim, I bought this, I don't know, over a year ago,
Yep.
and hadn't opened it. And
Now it's open.
We had a good reason to open the damn bottle.
Yep, it's really, really good. Back to pizza.
Oh, man.
I got one more little pizza spin here.
All right.
So
I'm all ears.
I have been looking and thinking and shopping for a pizza oven.
Oh,
Have you thought about getting one of them things?
yes. I have, and you know, a lot of different types, and I don't know. As a guy, sometimes we need to just get away from everybody. So the outside, you know, outdoor pizza concept kind of resonates with me. But
So the charcoal fire, wood fire, wood fire. Okay.
Yeah. Well, or charcoal.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so I had a green egg, and they have a contraption that'll convert your green egg to a pizza oven. It's a pretty clever little piece. It's I don't even know how to describe it, but you know, a green egg's got a round top that lifts up, and it's got a wedge of sorts, a wedge with an open slot where you can slide the pizza in, and you know, you can hit that thing. So the guys that do that, they'll get their egg up to 600 to 800 degrees.
Sure.
Throw a pizza in there. The only thing that bothers me is, like, you know, you go to all this trouble, you get this thing going, you get it fired up to 800 degrees. I mean, it's like you do a whole lot of work, throw this pizza in there 6 minutes and pull it out.
If 6 minutes,
If
right?
6 minutes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, because that
I'm like,
you know,
well, wait a minute. I just did all this daggone work. I fired this thing, you know.
I mean, the hardest thing in the world, in my understanding, is the hardest thing in the world is to balance the bottom heat with the top heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you got to get that crust underneath to get that. It's got to get toasted, and it's got to cook that moisture out of it, and it's got to get that leopard pattern on the bottom of the crust.
Yeah.
Before you burn the crust on the top, and before you separate the mozzarella from its oil.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like this perfect timing thing that has to happen. And and in order to do that, you got to have control of both the top heat and the bottom heat. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it definitely
My
is.
goodness. I mean, I'm sort of geeking out on it just a little bit.
Although, you know, I know we kind of worry about all the, you know, the unique specifics that, I mean, they are moments apart from, you know, failure to success to failure. But I have a sister-in-law who has an egg, and she'll do some pizzas, and she gets this fine Italian yeast and makes her own dough.
Yeah.
And then does all this stuff. And you know, often she's preoccupied cooking multiple things at once.
Yeah.
And she's sometimes frustrated and feels like the pizza is not done. You know, one's not done enough, one's too done. You know, she'll describe all these things that are not perfect in her brain. And every morsel I put in my mouth is just so delicious.
Yeah,
it's just so
we went to
oh my gosh.
when I was in Colorado, we went to one of my son's friend's house, and he had gotten one of those, I guess it was like a uni oven or something. I don't know. They're one of those backyard gas. And he he cooked pizzas for us all, and we were loving it. Of course, he was busy cooking pizzas the whole time, having the time of his life. And every pizza he brought in, he would say something's wrong with it, right?
Absolutely.
Just like you're talking about. He's like, oh, this one, this. And But they were all delicious.
Yeah.
They were all wonderful. They were all so much better than calling Domino's.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned, what are the outdoor one, the little
Solo stoves?
Solo.
Yeah, so Solo Stove makes the Ranger and the Bonfire and the Yukon fire pits.
Okay.
They also make a pizza oven now, and it uses that same concept of secondary burn on the gases coming off the wood. But their pizza oven is a gas. It's gas.
Oh,
and,
so it's not an add-on to their little Solo wood thing.
It's not an add-on to their Solo. It's a separate pizza oven.
Okay.
And I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
I've also heard a lot of great things about, and this is another reason that it's wonderful to have so many roadies out there, because we've probably got hundreds of roadies that have used different pizza ovens, and they're all going to come in and tell us which one to use. But
you know it.
I've heard the Chefman pizza oven from Costco is a good buy at around $250, and it's a electric indoor, so it's an in-kitchen version, and it gets to 800 top and bottom, above and below the pizza, 800 degrees.
Gosh.
And I'm thinking, well, that might be a good solution too. Electric, right?
Yeah, heck
you can do it. You can do that right in your kitchen.
Yeah.
And I've heard that does a really good job as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to geek out to the point where I spend so much time that I can't enjoy hanging out with the people that are to eat my pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that is a delicate balance, and I don't know. I guess I've always I overthink things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, don't we all?
Yeah. Boys and their toys, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I was thinking about the big green egg. I mean, you come down, you get it out, you clean out your ashes, put some more coal in it, you get it going, you shut her down, you get the airflow going, you get her to 800 degrees. Not that it takes those things are pretty quick. If you know what you're doing, you do it right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quick you can get one of those to 800 degrees. But then you throw the daggone thing in there for 5 minutes and pull it out, and it's done, So, there's that issue. Did I waste a half hour for a 5-minute pizza? I mean, whatever.
It's okay. I'm going to do something with it. I'm just not sure yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Rob, it's been a blast. I've had such a good time here.
Always fun. You intrigued me, Jim, with all your data on pizza and the stock market, and then you depressed me about bourbon going down. I don't know. No, I didn't draw that conclusion. I just said stocks are going down. Stocks going down.
Stocks are going down. Doesn't mean we're selling less bottles, but maybe the enthusiasm in the stock market's going down.
Oh, you remember that old song? Wall Street told us the stock market fell and we were supported. We couldn't tell. That's
yeah, there you go.
That's how I feel about those guys.
Well, I'm going to say the 2 stars tonight were the Still Austin Rye.
Yep.
And the Dickel 15 single barrel.
Yep. Both a good buy.
And of those 2, I would grab that Dickel, I think.
I think so. Only for me because it leans to the malted chocolate flavor.
Yeah. It was really a good pour.
Yeah.
Thank you for breaking out that bottle tonight. Actually, both these bottles were in your barn unopened.
I know. Here we go. I'm just looking for a reason, Jim.
There you go.
So you just need whoever comes over. That's what I'm looking for, a reason.
Well, it's always a pleasure to visit the Rare Eagle Bar and hang out with you, Rob. I know when roadies come to town, you're always excited to have them over to enjoy this place. Yep. So hopefully we'll get the chance to hang out with some roadies here again. We do from time to time.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
So if you're in town, roadies, reach out to me. We'll see if we can make it happen. But
absolutely.
Definitely Doug Keller, when you're in town, I think you need to come down here and see your eagle on display.
Oh, man. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Well, folks, you can find the Bourbon Road on all social media outlets. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on Threads, X now, because it's no longer Twitter. We're on all those platforms. You can find us. We hope you'll check out our posts and like them and share them with your friends. Make sure you check us out every single Wednesday. The way to make sure that you don't miss an episode is to scroll to the top of that app you're on, listen to us today, and make sure you click that subscribe button. That way you get a notification saying we put out a new episode and there's something great to listen to. Anytime you can hop on our website, thebourbonroad.com. You'll find our gear on there, our glasses and T-shirts and hats and all the good stuff. You can also hop onto our contact us page and send us a message. Let us know what you're thinking, if you liked a particular show or not, if you've got an idea for a guest or a bottle. We'd love to hear it. But until the next time, we'll see you down the Bourbon Road.